show collision. Two Navy fighter jets fly right into each other in the sky over Idaho. The crews ejecting, the jets crashing to the ground. What we know at this hour. President Trump's approval sinks as costs soar. New CBS polling as the Iran war drags on and rising prices test voters' patience.
I barely can get by, and it's too expensive.
I'm Olivia Rinaldi at the White House with new reporting about why the affordability crisis that fueled President Trump's return to power could be a threat to Republicans with the midterms fast approaching.
Massive fire, an 8,000-gallon fuel tanker ignites in New Jersey, shutting down a major interstate. More than 150 firefighters on the scene. An historic strike threatens commuter chaos.
But I know a deal can be reached.
Just as ridership on trains and buses picks up.
I'm Tim McNicholas in New York City. With gas prices up, so is ridership on mass transit. We'll hop on board.
All that, plus Swatch Watch frenzy. Shoppers worldwide swarm stores this weekend.
I'm Jonathan Vigliotti in Los Angeles. The rush to buy a piece of nostalgia shows there's no time like the present for retail fever. How a pocket watch is causing chaos in malls worldwide.
This is the CBS Weekend News from New York with Jerika Duncan.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this Sunday. Tonight, an Idaho Air Force is locked down after an air show crash. It happened near the Mountain Home Air Force Base about 50 miles southeast of Boise. The mid-air collision involved two E-8 A-10 jet fighters, part of a U.S. Navy demonstration team. The crews ejected. Officials say they are in stable condition tonight. Their jets crashed to the ground. An investigation is now underway. Well, tonight, President Trump's war in Iran and rising costs fueled by it are impacting how Americans feel about the economy and his presidency. Trump's approval now at the lowest level of his second term. Only 27% of Americans approve of how he is handling inflation, and 76% now say they're concerned about their personal finances. CBS's Olivia Rinaldi is at the White House with more on our poll and the latest in politics. Olivia, good evening.
Good evening, Jerika. That new poll also found that 69% of Americans say they don't have a clear understanding of the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, as the war is adding to economic concerns here at home.
President Trump visited his Virginia golf club shortly after issuing a new warning to Tehran. The administration's focus on Iran has Americans feeling the pinch. In new CBS News polling, almost 60% of Americans described gas prices in May as a financial hardship. Last week, the president dismissed affordability concerns.
I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
The president doubled down in an interview with Fox in Beijing.
That's right. That's a perfect statement. I'd make it again. When you tell somebody you're going to have to pay a little more, not that much more, a little more for gasoline for a very short period of time, because we want to stop the threat of being blown to pieces by a lunatic, everybody says that's fine.
President Trump ran on an economic revival. Yet nearly 2/3 of the country say his policies are making the economy worse in the short term.
So as soon as we get that straightened out, we will get back to the kitchen table issues.
But the president scored a political win last night, boxing out sitting Republican Senator Bill Cassidy from a runoff in the Louisiana Senate primary. Cassidy voted to convict Trump in his second impeachment trial after the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
When you participate in democracy, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. But you don't pout, you don't whine, you don't claim the election was stolen.
The president is hoping for another political win this week, the possible defeat of Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky in his primary on Tuesday. Massie was one of the leaders of the bipartisan push in the House to release the Epstein files. Jerika?
Olivia Rinaldi at the White House. Thank you. A massive fire has shut down a major interstate in New Jersey. One person was killed after an SUV struck the rear of a tanker truck carrying over 8,000 gallons of fuel. Both vehicles were engulfed in flames. It happened about 30 miles southwest of New York City. More than 150 firefighters responded. Tonight, North America's largest commuter rail system remains shut down. It's day 2 of a strike by Long Island Railroad workers. The railroad serves roughly 300,000 people in New York City and eastern suburbs. With the work week looming, officials are urging commuters to work from home. And with gas prices up, more people are relying on mass transit. CBS's Tim McNicholas is in New York City and following that part of the story tonight. Tim.
Good evening, Jerika. The Long Island Railroad may be idled by a strike, but passenger trains and bus lines across the country say ridership is up. And they say higher prices at the pump is one big reason why. Transportation hubs like Union Station in Washington, D.C. are even busier than usual lately. The railroad giant Amtrak reports a 5% increase in passengers in March compared to a year ago.
Instead of getting a rental car and driving to D.C., I decided to take the train. It was a lot easier to take the train and save a few bucks.
Gas prices are up more than 50% since the war with Iran began, as driving Americans out of their cars and on to public transit.
I filled my tank up last week. It was $55 to fill it up. That's the first time I've ever spent that much on my vehicle.
In a lot of the big cities in this country, the ridership of public transportation went way down after COVID. It's going to start ticking up. People are going to be frustrated. They're not going to want to drive as much.
And it's not just trains. The e-scooter and bike company Vio says it surveyed its riders in late March. 68% of respondents said they're replacing some car rides with e-scooters and bikes due to recent gas prices. Trailways, the largest network of bus companies in North America, also saw a 5% increase in March compared to last year.
And then we see April also up 9%. That's when we know it's not just natural growth. This is from the gas prices.
Trailways.com president Alex Berardi says long-distance travelers are also steering toward buses, with jet fuel prices pushing skyward and airfares up 15%.
People were booking last second a little bit more. We think that could be around the uncertainty in the travel market. People are looking and they're shocked by the prices and they're trying to figure out, how am I going to get there?
Transportation experts say gas prices could hit $5 per gallon by Memorial Day. Berardi tells us Trailways has added drivers and is looking to buy more buses to meet demand, but has not raised fares yet. Jerika.
Tim McNicholas, thank you. The United States is ramping up pressure on Cuba tonight with a potential indictment on former President Raul Castro. CBS's Christian Benavides is in Miami with new details on what's next. Christian.
Jerika, good evening. Here in Little Havana, they have been longing for change in Cuba for decades, and now this indictment gives the U.S. an opportunity to enact that change.
Once rare protests have become an almost nightly occurrence in Cuba. An island struggling with rolling blackouts, lack of food and fuel, in part due to decades-long government mismanagement, the takedown of Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro, and amplified U.S. pressure. The U.S. is offering $100 million in humanitarian assistance in exchange for meaningful reforms.
Cuba has no other option. It's really at the end of the road.
Sources tell CBS News the U.S. is planning to indict the 94-year-old former leader, Raul Castro, brother of Fidel Castro, over the shootdown of humanitarian planes by a Miami organization in 1996. 3 U.S. citizens and 1 U.S. resident working for Brothers to the Rescue were killed by the regime.
Is the U.S. going to go in and take Raul Castro? We don't know, right? Or is this indictment a way to pressure Cuba to, in fact, allow a peaceful transition?
Get out.
Cuban-born human rights activist Ernesto Martin.
In Venezuela, they still have basically the same government in charge. Is that acceptable for Cuba?
We do not support any sort of deal that leaves the Castro regime in power.
The United Nations warns that Cuba is on the brink of collapse. Now, this Wednesday, the 4 families of those who were killed during that 1996 incident will be honored at an event here in Miami, and the Miami Herald reports that the indictment could be unsealed on that day. Jerika.
Christian Benavides, thank you. Well, tonight, Minnesota's National Guard has been mobilized to help fight wildfires across the state. This fire destroyed several buildings along the state's north shore near Duluth. And across the plains, well, severe storms are firing up tornadoes, including this one tearing across rural Nebraska. CBS News meteorologist Andrew Kozak is here with everything you need to know. Andrew, good evening.
Yeah, Jerika, a busy Sunday night, and it's not just the wind reports, the hail reports that we've already seen, but now the tornado threat for places like Omaha, Nebraska. Tonight, we already have multiple tornado watches and even a few warnings that will take us through the next couple of hours, keeping an eye on this. And by the time we get into the late night, the storms become more of a straight line wind damage type of situation. We call that the bow echo when the storm continues to kind of bow out. Let me show you the setup, because we once again are going to be watching for severe weather on Monday. Warm air to the south, cold air, even a winter storm to the north and the west. Places like Casper, Wyoming getting accumulating snow. But right in the middle is where we have that really sultry air, and that's where we're once again going to be focusing on severe weather for Monday. This time, Kansas, Missouri, and up toward Iowa with tornado threats along with hail and gusty winds. On the East Coast, warmth surges. We're talking 90s and even close to triple digits heading into Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Andrew Kozak, thank you so much. Now to an extraordinary moment in retail that turned unruly. CBS's Jonathan Vigliotti is in Los Angeles with details on what is happening at these Swatch stores. Jonathan.
Yeah, and good evening to you, Jerika. The scenes are what we'd expect on Black Friday, but instead of a holiday deal, it is a new watch that many people hope turns into a great investment.
Move over Stanley Cup and Labubu doll, society, or a good social media blitz, has now decided the hottest accessory is a pocket watch. The kind your great-grandfather might have checked before boarding a steam train.
There was probably like 200 to 300 people packed in there, just trying to be like the first in line at the door.
The frenzy is over a new collab between watchmaker Swatch and luxury brand Audemars Piguet, whose timepieces normally sell for the price of a luxury car. This version costs around $400, which in luxury watch math qualifies as affordable, or to those trying to get their hands on one, a great investment. Some are reselling online for thousands of dollars. Enter chaos.
It could have become like a stampede. If they did open the doors, it would have been a free-for-all.
In suburban Philadelphia, nearly 100 officers responded after crowds at a mall became unruly. One shopper apparently tried forcing their way inside before opening. And in Milan, video captured shoppers brawling. It's unclear if this latest trend will stand the test of time or wind up forgotten when the clock strikes Labor Day.
And Swatch says this watch is not a limited edition, which means there will be plenty more, though, Jerika, it's still unclear if that will be enough to ease the frenzy that we saw this weekend.
Yeah, it's crazy when these things happen. Jonathan Vigliotti, thank you. In 1973, the New Jersey country rock band Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show got their wish when Rolling Stone magazine put them on the cover. Well, today we learned the band's frontman, Dennis LeCourrier, died after battling kidney disease. He was 76 years old. Straight ahead on the CBS Weekend News, a new warning about a global health emergency. That's next. Tonight, outbreaks of the deadly Ebola virus in 2 African countries have prompted the World Health Organization to declare a global health emergency. CBS's Imtiaz Tayeb of our London bureau reports on their efforts to contain it. Imtiaz.
Jerika, good evening. There's a major push to contain this fast-moving and deadly outbreak of the Ebola virus. The Democratic Republic of Congo's government has said it's activated a public health emergency operations center, strengthened epidemiological and laboratory surveillance, and ordered the rapid deployment of response teams in an attempt to contain the outbreak.
This remote corner of eastern Congo is on edge. In a nearby gold mining area, Ebola is spreading fast and people are dying. John Kasembo is a motorcycle taxi driver. We are very afraid, he says. Since the beginning of May, many people have died, and it keeps happening. We're so scared. Kasembo is right to be afraid. Spread through direct contact with bodily fluids and through broken skin, Ebola causes severe bleeding and organ failure. There is no proven cure for the virus, and according to the World Health Organization, the average fatality rate is around 50%. CBS News medical correspondent Dr. Celine Gounder says containing the virus won't be easy.
symptoms? It's already a big outbreak at the point that we're hearing about it. There have already been a number of deaths, and this is a strain of Ebola for which we have no treatment, no vaccines.
This is the Democratic Republic of Congo's 17th outbreak of the deadly viral disease, which was first discovered in 1976 in what is now the DRC and is thought to have spread from bats. It's also unfolding against a backdrop of a deepening security crisis in the region, where clashes between rival militia groups have killed dozens of civilians in recent weeks.
And tonight, global health experts are warning the Trump administration's dismantling of USAID and withdrawal from the WHO may have a serious impact on the global effort to contain the virus, Jerika, an Ebola outbreak which has already claimed dozens of lives.
MTS Tayeb, thank you. Still ahead on the CBS Weekend News, he's known for mastering the court, but now basketball great Shaquille O'Neal is adding yet another title to his name. Tonight, 2 new records when it comes to scaling Mount Everest. Kami Rita Sherpa made it to the top of the world's highest peak for the 32nd time. The 56-year-old started guiding other climbers back in 1994. Also today, Lakpa Sherpa, known as the Mountain Queen, made her 11th summit. That is the most for any woman on Mount Everest. Well, the last place to ski in this country is now closed for the season. Skiers at Colorado's Arapahoe Basin took the last runs today, some of them across water. The resort is usually open until mid-June, but below average snowfall took its toll, forcing most Rocky Mountain resorts to close early. 4-time NBA champion Shaquille O'Neal was called to the graduation stage this weekend.
Shaquille, I hate Charles Barkley O'Neal.
You heard that correctly. Shaq trolled his friend and former NBA rival Charles Barkley and enjoyed the moment, as you see right there, accepting his Master's of Liberal Arts degree at Louisiana State University. Shaq also earned his bachelor's from there back in 2000. Congratulations. Next on the CBS Weekend News, embracing AI as an education tool. Is it helping, though? CBS's Itai Had will show us. But first, a look back at this day in history.
She was called the Mighty O, the USS Oriskany, an aircraft carrier that fought in the Korean and Vietnam Wars, and today was her last voyage.
Finally, the rise of artificial intelligence is proving to be one of the biggest challenges for schools, with educators forced to adapt to rapidly changing technology. In tonight's Weekend Journal, CBS's Itai Had in San Francisco shows us how AI is revolutionizing the classroom.
For a lot of kids, school is something you suffer through, but not for 13-year-old June Rockefeller, at least not anymore.
It's really fun.
June is a student at Alpha, a new school in San Francisco that's using AI to reimagine learning. Instead of teachers, specially trained guides help kids when they get stuck. Students spend just 2 hours a day on core subjects, all taught by AI. The rest is dedicated to real-world projects.
Share my app called Moleculab.
14-year-old Ethan Wong is designing an app on molecular gastronomy.
It's an app that helps students.
Today's class, how to pitch a startup. I'm going to guess in your other schools you weren't creating apps.
No, not at all.
His dad, James, says he noticed a change almost immediately.
I had not seen that smile when he exited school in a very long time.
Okay. Carson Lehman, Alpha's lead guide, says schools have been slow to change.
I want them to see that they are able to create something. They don't need a crazy degree in computer science. They are able to create a functioning app.
Of course, not everyone agrees. Cassandra Curiel, president of United Educators of San Francisco, says 2 hours of digital learning is just not enough.
Some of the consequences of unregulated and currently unstudied
AI in education settings could have potentially really impactful and negative influences on our students.
The cost, $75,000 a year. Alpha says they're getting results, claiming their students score in the top 2% nationally. For June, there's no going back. Is there anything that you miss at all from your older school?
Absolutely not.
Still, it remains to be seen if AI can get an A+.
Thank you.
Itai Had, CBS News, San Francisco.
Time will tell, but that is quite the investment. That is the CBS Weekend News for this Sunday. We thank you so much for watching. I'm Jerika Duncan in New York. Have a great week.